What's up, guys? So I just woke up. Yesterday I was on a tangent going to make a video about essentially about correcting some astrologers on the natal chart of Donald Trump for multiple reasons. First off, every single one of them said something completely different. Secondly, a suggestion to them, what I would say is, I know that they want to do like practice charts or videos to get attention, charts of people that are hot in the media or in the press. But when they continue to make a habit out of doing charts of people that they already have stigmas or bias against, they're actually not helping themselves with being better, astropsychoanalysis readers or anything like that, which, I mean, most of them probably don't even know one damn thing about psychology anyway. And, so, just a couple of things. The only person out of, like, the 5 that I'd looked at that I actually watched, because I don't watch any of those astrologers that have a video that's over like 15 minutes long. I mean, I've tried, but when they start just spinning in their chair and they're like, so what I think I am seeing is, and I'm just like, dude, I try not to. I know my videos are long sometimes, but I try not to do that. I just get carried away with a lot of excess information. But I've actually started putting like a table of contents in the beginning and going through my whole video and saying, if you don't want to watch the whole video, like, this section talks about Trump, this section talks about people that are wrong about Trump, and that'll be the kind of thing they'll do from now on, but I'm going to keep this short. But anyway, so I'm a part of a couple of support groups for Trump. Yes, I apparently, like, even though I keep saying that, yeah, I'm not necessarily supporting Trump, but the further this goes into it, it's like nearly impossible for me to say that I don't support Trump anymore. I guess I was originally starting with that I can tell you who I don't support, and that was Hillary. And then I looked at Bernie Sanders and Trump, and initially I was like, okay, so they're kind of like one and the same person. And then I dug into Bernie more. I'm not talking about astrologically, I'm talking about like his actual policies and stuff. And I listened to some more of his speeches, and then I was like, okay, I can't support Bernie anymore. I'm technically an entrepreneur because I'm an astrologer, and I also create novelty stuff. So I also, do product production, stuff like that. And if I don't necessarily outsource to anybody else, but I guess similar to Trump, trying to give people opportunities for jobs, I have other friends that are into crafts, and I say, hey, well, instead of dealing with that Etsy bullshit or whatever you're doing, if you can make some craft stuff, I'm not really, specific, and you can tie in zodiac signs or astrology to it, you're more than welcome to sell your products on my website for free. And we just have to put up a page, and it'll have a link on it, and it can go to, like a Facebook page for you or something like that. Or we can just put it directly to a PayPal that, you control, and you can just get money right off of that, and just let me know if I need to update the page or not. Because it's not that big of a deal. I'm helping my friends, and, it makes my website more substantial for clients and customers. So, figured that was like scratching their back and scratching mine at the same time, because we're all a team in this country, supposedly. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that, as I was getting ready to dissect or whatever, I was going to dissect Trump's chart because I've seen it myself before. It also has some similar aspects to my own, and the way that the planets are placed. And then I was looking at something, so I was looking at chart reports and tables. So I'm looking at essentially the medieval life cycle charts. So it gives me the actual like dates when certain planets are going to be the key focus for the next period, like the next couple of years or a year or so. And I find it interesting because I was looking up online about this. So it says 2016 Republican presidential nomination. Then it says they'll nominate the presidential candidate at the convention in Cleveland on the 18th of July 2016. Primary and caucus events will go through till early June. Okay, so everybody that's familiar with Donald Trump's natal chart, he has Uranus, his true node, which is the horseshoe-looking thing, and his sun up in the 10th house. The 10th house is supposed to represent your career, your reputation, and in political astrology, it represents the executive branch. Okay, and then also another thing I find very interesting is during that Pisces full solar eclipse that just happened this month. Actually, it was about less than a week ago. It was in Pisces, and the MC for that eclipse was Gemini. Trump is a Gemini. Gemini sun, obviously, with that on his 10th house. And then, I can't remember exactly what's going on during the election time, but there was something else that I saw that, like, just made me instantly think of Trump also. And this was before I decided, like, if Trump was going to be the one or not, because I was looking at his chart and Bernie's chart in comparison to the day of the election. So now I look here, and his true node is going to be the focus or trigger planet of this next period that starts sorry, on June 13th, 2016. And the next one is going to be in 2019. So that instantly makes me think of a couple things. And I have nothing to prove this, but I'm going to look into this. So unfortunately for Trump, and I'm not saying this because this will actually happen to him, but synchronistically, we are comparing the Uranus-Pluto square to the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. The Uranus-Pluto conjunction, back in the 1960s, was when President Kennedy started pissing off some people who apparently he wasn't supposed to, and they didn't like what he was doing, didn't like what he was saying, how he was going to change the establishment, and he was assassinated. So, I'm not saying for sure that Trump will be assassinated, but obviously, the fact that everybody's talking about it, and that the media is essentially trying to coerce some idiot in the public to do it, just, validates the original synchronistic cycle and a legitimate concern. I've thought for some time, and I've mentioned for some time, that I'm not even like semi-convinced. I'm thoroughly convinced that Trump has an astrologer for multiple reasons. First off, he's a businessman. Secondly, he's got to know who JP Morgan is. Thirdly, he's him being a Gemini, and him also having Uranus and Gemini conjunct with that, he's very eccentric and weird, and he likes information. So, if anything, he would be the type of person that would consult an astrologer just for shits and giggles to see if the information that might have helped him. So, I'm guessing since he went into this election during transits at the peak of his Leo ascendant, which is supposed to initially, when Jupiter is transiting over your ascendant, it's supposed to bring you good fortune. And the fact that he has a Sagittarius moon just emphasizes that even more. And also because he has his sun in the 10th house and then his moon in the 4th house, he's got that opposition, which also is going to make conflict. Basically, he's going to make enemies easily within his profession. So he's used to this, and he expected this, either because he consulted an astrologer about some things, he knows history well, which is possible, and or because this is the kind of things that he figured he'd have to do, because there's probably different kinds of safety precautions he needs to take in his career, no matter what, to make sure that people don't do this to him. I.e. maybe like prenups and stuff like that. Not just because he's rich, but yeah. So, people say that he's not very nice, but as I've said, he has a Cancer stellium, and even though Cancers can be assholes, they are emotional. So, sorry, my eyes are... Ugh. Anyway, so when everybody says he's not emotional, I'm like, no. I was like, he has that polarity with the moon and the sun. And the sun is in the upper quadrant, which is his extrovert, outgoing quadrants. And then his moon's in the bottom. So he tries to shield his emotions. I'm not saying that Sagittarius are emotional. See, for example, I'm a Sagittarius moon. Am I not emotional, Boo? I mean, I may not be the nicest, but I do get worked up. I would say that that constitutes emotion. Because I'm not like, you know, a flatline or anything. So, that's another reason why, what I'm getting at with him. I have a Sagittarius moon, and I'm also a Gemini rising. So even though I'm not the same exact thing as him, I have similar chart signatures to him. And and it's just I think he might have almost an opposition with Uranus and his Jupiter, and so do I. So actually I have a direct opposition. He knows my Mercury and Jupiter, that's right. So that gives me this over-exaggerated mentality. And the one that does that for him is essentially his Jupiter and his Neptune being next to each other, and then having some sort of aspect with his Sun and his Uranus makes him erratic. So I'm totally right there with him. I totally feel him. But basically what I was excited about for this wasn't supposed to go on that long, is that the fact that his true node, which essentially his chart dynamic says that he's supposed to go and excel and find new territory within his profession and reputation, since that's the key factor here within this next, you know, the Ferdaria, I'm sure I butchered that, but the medieval timeline, I'm thoroughly convinced that he will win the Republican nomination, despite the fact of all the forces trying to work against him. So, that being said, the only other thing I'm concerned about, like I was trying to say, was his South Node, which is essentially symbolically supposed to be the sign that represents the soul, past lives, or his comfort zone, comes back the 14th of June, 2019. I can't remember exactly the timeline when Kennedy was elected and then assassinated. I'll have to look into that. I honestly haven't looked into this too much because I don't want to warp or taint my gut instinct with this. This is just my initial gut instinct. I'm not saying that this is for sure. This is just what I randomly came to the conclusion of, looking barely at this graph and kind of getting into it, because I wasn't even getting into this particularly. I was actually going to correct some astrologers on how they're letting their bias be the one that reads their charts, not their skills. So, and again, I say I've been doing this for quite some time, enough to where I can read people's charts without referencing anything. I'm getting to that now. But I still, like, when I either will look at something like I am now, and then give some sort of, you know, spat on it, and then I'll go back and do it again. And before I do it again, I go and double check and make sure that I looked over every possible scenario and every single aspect to see what I missed or if I was wrong. Other astrologers need to not let their ego get ahead of them, and they need to do that more. Because a lot of you are going to look like idiots that said that he only has a 1% chance of even making it to the primary. You guys look like retards now. I'm just saying. And again, me having similar aspects to Trump. Actually, it's not because I have the sun opposing the moon like he does. I have I think I have Uranus squaring my Venus or my Mars, and my Mars and my Venus are conjunct. So I am naturally combative, and I piss people off. So I totally feel him. But anyway, I'm gonna go now. So my prediction is he is going to win the Republican nomination. I mean, do I even really have to say that now? No. But everybody's concerned that he may be sabotaged. All I can say is that he is likely dealt with a lot worse than what they're trying to throw at him through the media. Anything else might happen, but there's already Trump supporters that are doing Plan B right now. I'm not going to talk about that.